Well, thank you so much for joining us here in person and also everybody who is watching us on live. And big shout out to Kevin for organizing this entire session. Um, Let me get started. So I'm Keerthi and I'm a full stack engineer at PeerDeck. Today I happened to check my calendar for today's schedule and I accidentally tapped into 2021 June, and today was the day exactly when I first interviewed with GoGuardian. So here I am, right exactly 1 year. I'm doing this presentation about UNESCO Futures of Education, a very important topic. But before I dive in, I would like to reflect on the current state um, with the education system, where we stand across the globe. So with respect to literacy rate, despite the steady rise in literacy rate over the past 50 years, we still have 773 million adults around the globe who are illiterate, and nearly 1 in 10 person are out of primary schools. So this is just one part of the problem. Today, our generation is in the midst of critical issues that if they continue to be the issues for the next 30 to 50 years, then we end up an exhausted planet with few resources left, and quality education would be just for privileged people, and rest of them would live in misery because of lack of resources. So some of the challenges I've tried to list up here. Today our planet is in peril. There's climate change, degradation of basic resources like soil, water, and quality air, and etc. There's a workplace rapidly changing due to evolution in technologies like automation and artificial intelligence, and pandemic has already shown how rapidly we could change from in-person work office to a remote and hybrid. And due to increase in usage of technology everywhere, it is easy and quick to spread misinformation. And additionally, there is like growing digital divide among those who have access to technology versus those who don't. And with COVID-19, we clearly saw a widening gap between societies due to social and economic inequality. So the past decade, the world has seen growing backsliding in democratic governance and also growing polarization. So along with the goal that education should be accessible to every single human, we should also ensure that education takes into account changing nature of work, social discrimination, and unsustainable lifestyles. So with that, looking into 2050 and beyond, UNESCO has put together this global initiative to reimagine how knowledge and learning can shape the world with future of humanity and the planet. So this report is more an invitation to think and imagine than a blueprint, as it proposes answers to three main questions. What should we continue doing? What should we abandon? And what should we reimagine? With core underlying foundational principles, right to quality education throughout life, education as a public endeavor and common good. Diverse voices and perspectives should be leveraged in education policies and decision-making process. Let's look at some of the highlights from this report. So the first highlight I have here is about pedagogy. Pedagogy should be organized around the principles of cooperation, collaboration, and solidarity. Pedagogy should foster intellectual, social, and moral capacities of students to work together and to transform the world with empathy and compassion. And interconnectedness and interdependencies should be the core of pedagogy. For instance, project-based learning, problem-based learning, service learning, and social emotional learning through community engagement nurture students' abilities to face new challenges in creative and unforeseen ways, and with individually and collectively. Assessments should promote meaningful growth and learning for all students and should not be used to create categories of winners and losers. We must reduce the importance of assessments like competitive and standardized assessments, as they create unnecessary pressure for both teachers and students. The next highlight I have here is about curricula. Curricula should emphasize ecological, intercultural, and interdisciplinary learning that supports students to access and produce knowledge while also developing their capacity to critique and apply it. Curricula should help build skills for digital world. Today, students are introduced to digital devices without realizing the harm tech can do if it's being misused. So, moreover, there has been increase in spread of misinformation. This should be countered through scientific and humanistic literacies that develop the ability to distinguish what's right versus what's wrong. And students need to understand how drastic climate change, unsustainable living, and degradation of resources is impacting their very own living and also future generation. Using this knowledge as a framework, they should be able to take effective actions to protect and create a rebalance of resources. Knowledge and study of human society, human rights, and culture will just empower students to apply and solve a wide range of problems and also empower them directly to confront racism and discrimination of all forms. Lastly, curricula should move away from narrow transmission of facts and information and instead should foster concepts, skills, and values and attitudes that will enable learners to engage with diverse forms of information, acquisition, application, and generation to knowledge commons. The third highlight I have here is about teaching. Teaching should be further professionalized as a collaborative endeavor where teachers are recognized for their work as knowledge producers and key figures in educational and social transformation. The need for collaborative work will become even more pressing the years to come. Teachers' education and training needs to be rethought to align with educational priorities to better orient towards future challenges and prospects. Research, creation of knowledge, and new pedagogical practices should become integral part of teaching. Teachers' autonomy and freedom must be fully supported and they must participate in public debate and dialogue on futures of education. Assuring teachers' autonomy, social respect, and decent wages will encourage passionate educators to remain in the profession and skilled and motivated people to choose and join teaching profession. The fourth highlight is about schools. Schools should be protected educational sites, the job we are doing, because of the inclusion, equity, and well-being they support, both individually and collectively. Hence, it is important to reimagine schools to better promote the transformation of the world towards more just and equitable and sustainable futures. It is important to understand that built environment and inclusive design have a pedagogical value and power to influence students' learning. They can enable teachers and students to interact with new ideas, cultures, and ways of seeing the world in a supportive and creating environment. Healthy educational systems connect natural, built, and virtual sites of learning. It's not just one of it, but all three of them. Schools and classrooms and teaching should value diversity and pluralism. Digital technologies should aim to support and but not replace schools. Leveraging digital tools will be useful and essential to enhance student creativity and communication. Navigating these digital spaces with utmost care and attention can open great opportunities to make education accessible, gather more participation to share knowledge, and create better human experiences. Schools should model the futures we aspire to by ensuring human rights and becoming exemplars of sustainability and carbon neutrality. The fifth and the last highlight I have here is about education as a lifelong endeavor. We should enjoy and expand educational opportunities that take place throughout life and in different culture and social spaces. We can imagine our future societies providing, encouraging, learning a multiplicity of sites beyond formal and at planned and spontaneous times. Looking to the future, we should promote a right to lifelong and life-wide learning, enabled by the right to information, connectivity, and culture. Open access, open source platforms with strong protections for student and teacher data should be prioritized. And key responsibility, of course, lies on governments to increase capacity for the public funding and regulation of education. Last but not the least, more than any other profession, teachers need continuous support and professional development to work and personalize learning for different population of groups who are ethically, culturally, and linguistically diverse. Um, those are the top 5 highlights I have from the report. But as I mentioned in the beginning of this presentation, UNESCO Futures of Education is an invitation for everyone who is part of education ecosystem to join, to give new ideas, and participate in this process of reimagining our education. You can check out different ways to get involved, but I really hope that some of these points will help make us better decisions, come up with better ideas. And that's all that I have for today. But if you have any questions, comments, or feedback, reach out to me. I would love to chat about it. Thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of the Tech Summit.
Thank you, Keerthi.